Alright guys, welcome back to the shop. So if you guys missed yesterday's video, I basically spent the day just cleaning up the shop, getting a little bit better organized, and again, another reason why I don't do shop tours is you'll now notice that the lathe is sitting over in that back corner there, or against the wall, where the workbench basically used to sit. And I now am going to be keeping the workbench out in the middle of the shop here because I found on this project I love being able to walk around the full side of the workbench. It's not going to be as stable as it was before because I had one of the edges braced up against the wall, but it should be just fine, kind of being in the middle of the area here. So what I want to try and get done today is I want to get the headboard and the footboard at least very close to being ready to assemble. So all we have to do in order to get it ready to assemble is just finish sanding the headboard panels, cut the grooves into all of the headboard pieces, and then it should be pretty dang close. We also have to do the tenons for our long stretchers that are going to go into the headboard and footboard, so we'll try and get to that today. Again, I don't want to make too many promises at the beginning of the video here because I never seem to be able to follow through with them because this stuff takes a long time. Okay, so that was actually a lot of work that I got done in a little bit there. So we've got all of our panels standard at the 220 grit. We've got our grooves cut into all of the headboard pieces, and we've got all of our mortises for the headboard cut. Final thing we need to do is get all of our tenons cut. Now, I've been dreading trying to figure out how to do this again. I'm genuinely gonna have to go back and look at my own videos because I don't remember how I cut the tenons on the long stretchers last time. But I'm thinking this time there's definitely gotta be a way to make it work with the track saw. And what I'm thinking is that because all of my pieces are nicely squared up, I should be able to get them all compressed together, you know, put them under some clamping and that. Then I can just set up the track saw, make one pass, cut the shoulder on all 4 pieces at the exact same time. I'm thinking that's going to be a really good way to go about it. Then once I have that established shoulder line that I know is going to be perfectly straight and square and all that, because we know that the track saw can do that, plus with the track saw I can go to a very specific depth. Then when I go back in and clean it up with the router, then I just have to make sure I don't go past the area that I've cut with the track saw. So far I'm thinking that's going to be the best way to do this. Again, I'm still kind of unsure about how to proceed with this. That seems like the best option, but there's probably 1,000 different ways to do this. All of them I cannot really think of right now. So we're going to try setting it up that way. I'm going to see if I can do all 4 at once for all of our long stretchers for both the headboard and the footboard, because I just kind of want to get this stuff to a point where it's, you know, it's ready to go together. Okay, so I actually just thought of the best way to do this, but we can't actually do it this way, which I'll explain in just a second here. But if I'd taken all of these pieces, clamped them up the same way I'm doing right now, just put them in a bunch of pipe clamps, when they were at their random lengths, I could have just gone through, cut them to length, they're squared off one side, cut the tenon onto them, flipped it around to the other side, cut it to its final length, cut a tenon on there, and we would be done. Now the reason I can't do that here is because I have those mortises already cut in. So the mortises are, you know, somewhere in this area around here, I believe. And so those mortises need to line up with each other. So I can't just make a new cut here and hope that everything lines up in the end, because it's probably not going to. But if I didn't have the mortises in here, this would have been a genius thing to do, because you just lay the track on, do a cleanup pass, then you just set the track up in from that first pass about 1.5 inches, make your shoulder cut for the tenons, flip this whole thing over, which would be a bit annoying and a little bit of a nightmare, but it would be possible because everything would be held nice and tightly at the clamps. Cut your other shoulder, then you just go through and clean up everything with the router. You've got a nice large surface area, all that kind of stuff. It would have been an amazing way to do all these tenons in basically one shot. Alright, so that is all of our tenons cut, and I'm not going to say they look good because they look very rough, but that's exactly how this style of tenon should look. This is probably one of my favorite ways to cut tenons because going back in with the chisel and just smashing out the bulk of the material is actually really entertaining. Then you just use the block plane to clean up that little bit of exposed grain, and it overall just works out really nicely. The beautiful thing about mortise and tenon joinery is it doesn't have to be super precise or accurate. It has to be precise and accurate to a point, but mainly on the thickness, which is actually pretty easy to dial in. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to use the block plane and go over all these tenons and get them to be a perfect fit into all the mortises we cut earlier today. Because right now when I check them, none of the tenons fit, which is exactly what you want. If they're fitting up, you've got an issue and you size them wrong, and you may have to do some jerry-rigging later on. But because I know that none of these tenons currently fit in any of those mortises, I know that we're going to be just fine. We can remove material from either side of this tenon until we get a perfect fit into those mortises over the thickness of the tenon there. That's the best way to fit up a tenon I've found, and it's kind of my go-to method. But anyway, like I said, we're going to be doing all that tomorrow because I'm out of time in the shop today. This is a pretty good day. But anyways, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.